Now that we talked about balls and counters, let's jump to stems. A stem is the main stroke of a letter that is usually vertical, so let's just make a stem for the lowercase b. Grab the rectangle tool, the shortcut for it is M, then I'm going to create a rectangle that extends from the center guide to the baseline. Don't worry about the width. Let's jump to the transform panel and change the width so that is equal to that of the vertical stroke of the lowercase o, which is 134 points. I'm going to move the stem a bit to the left so I can duplicate the lowercase letter o on the same artboard. I don't remember if we talked about this in the previous video, but a nice little trick to copy the glyph from one artboard to another while keeping them in the same place is to copy the glyph by hitting Ctrl C, then click on the artboard that you want to move it to, hit Ctrl 0 to fit the artboard in the screen, then just hit Ctrl F. Now that we have them side to side, what I want to talk about is the optical compensation between straight strokes and curved strokes, especially when we have contrast. If we look at the vertical strokes of the lowercase letter o, there is only one area where the width is 134 points, and that is where the anchor points are, but the rest of it starts to thin out as it changes to the width of the horizontal stroke. But on the other hand, the stem has a consistent width, making it look wider by comparison, so to correct this discrepancy we simply need to decrease the width of the stem. See what works for you, but personally I do a 3% decrease in size, so type in -3%. Then I'm going to round this up to the closest integer and even value. Next, let's put the shapes together. Just intersect the left side of the stem with the right side of the counter. As you can tell, we can't see much of what's going on because of the black fill of the shapes. One way around this is to have no fill and just to have a stroke on the shape instead, but the easiest way is to hit Ctrl Y on your keyboard and you can easily swap from the normal preview to the outline preview, and vice versa, a very useful tool that we will be using a lot. Now I'm going to open the compound path and align the outer ellipse to the stem. As you can tell, this doesn't look very appealing. That has to do with the joints of the letter. Joints are the areas where the strokes merge with each other, in our case where the ball connects to the stem. And in these areas we see a lot of color. Color in type design doesn't refer to a CMYK or an RGB color, but how dark or dense an area looks. To reduce the color in an area we have to increase the negative space, and in this case there are two techniques that I like to use. I'm going to create another copy. The first technique is to change the weight distribution, and instead of moving the counter we are going to decrease the size of the ball. First, open the compound path and select the outer ellipse, go to the transform panel and select the reference point to the right. Now decrease the width to the value that you want. As you can see, the glyph has improved a lot. Not only that we reduced the color around the joints, but the stem became so much noticeable. The second technique is to create a cut in the stem, and there are a few ways to do this. Before that, I'm going to make a few copies so you can tell the difference. You can grab the ellipse tool and just create an ellipse with a center point on this anchor point. To do that, click on the anchor point and after that just hold the Alt key. Increase the height of the ellipse until it intersects with the joint, but make sure you hold down the Alt key. This keeps the center of the ellipse in the same point. And for the width, it's up to you. Select the stem and the ellipse and make a cut using the Shape Builder tool. For the other glyph, I'm going to isolate the stem. To do that, double click on the shape, grab the pen tool, the shortcut key for it is P, and simply add an anchor point where the stem intersects with the ball. Grab the direct selection tool and move this anchor point how many points you want. These are just a few ways to do it. Of course, you can experiment with what shapes you want to make these cuts in the stem. As you can see, this further improves the color by adding negative space. The shapes that stick out after we made the cuts are called spurs. Last, we're gonna make a stem cut that doesn't have a spur. For that, I'm going to select this glyph, grab the Shape Builder tool and simply remove the part that sticks out. These are the two ways that I use to deal with color in this case, creating cuts in the stem or reducing the size of the ball on the side that connects to the stem.